Hello everybody and welcome back. In this video we're going to be adding the search bar to our users page, and our focus is going to be towards adding the search bar's UI elements for now, and then we'll add the business logic to it later on. So with that said, let's get into it and let's see how we're going to be doing it. So to get started, it's going to be very simple. Inside of our children's list, similar to how we had our top bar, what I'm going to do is that after I've added my top bar, I'm going to add my custom text, and then from there I'm going to call field. But if I type this widget in, you're going to see that we don't have anything like this. And the reason for this is because although we could have used a custom text form field, I wanted to show you that you can use text fields outside of the context of a form as well. And for that, I thought that the users page was a good reference place to use them, because of the fact that it just had one text field and didn't have any kind of additional inputs that we had to provide. So with that said, now we're going to be going to our custom input fields widgets file, and inside of here what we're going to be doing is that we're going to be adding our new class, which is going to allow us to use text fields and not just rely upon text form fields inside of our application. So with that said, let's get into it and let's see how we're going to be doing it. So the first thing that I'm going to do is that I am going to create a new class inside of my custom input fields file, and I'm going to call this class our custom text field. With this, what I'll do is that I'll say that it extends a stateless widget, and I'm going to open the class definition up. I'll say that our class is going to have some properties. The first one is going to be a function which will take in a string, and I'll call this function on editing complete. With this, what I'll do is that I'll add another property which is going to be a type of string, and I'll call this the hint text. Similar to this, we'll also have another property which is going to be obscure text, and similar to this, I'm also going to have one other thing which is going to be a variable that will hold a reference to a text editing controller, and I'll call this controller. And finally, the last thing is going to be that we'll give it a icon data, which is going to be an optional variable, and I'll set that to be icon. With this, I'll define the actual constructor for our class, and I'm going to say that it's going to be custom text field, and our constructor is going to be taking all named arguments. The first one is going to be required, and that's going to be this dot on editing complete. With this, I'll also say that the next one is also going to be required, and that's going to be this dot hint text. With this, I'll say that we'll also follow it by another required one, which will be this dot obscure text, and following that we'll have another required one, which is going to be this dot controller, and following that we'll just have our optional input, which is going to be this dot icon, because that was an optional variable and we didn't define it as a final, hence it doesn't need to be marked as required, and we do not see any errors. With this, if I go down and I add the build function to the actual custom text field class, you should see that the error should now be resolved. And for now, what I'll do is that I'll just remove the comment and the error. And what I'm going to say that instead of throwing an unimplemented error, return to me a text field. So as you can see, this time we use this custom widget that is provided to us by Flutter. And it's not a text form field, it's actually a text field. I'll do command save, and I'll go back to my users page, and then I'm going to go to my children's list. And the children's list is where we're going to be now adding our custom text field. And we're going to now type in custom text field and make sure that it's after the actual top bar and the file is imported, and then you should have access to the custom text field. And then we have to provide it some of the properties that it expects. So what do we have to provide it? Well, firstly, we have to provide it a controller. So I'll give it that because we had already created that in the previous videos, and that's called the search field text editing controller. But this, we also have to define the property for it, which is to either obscure text or not, and I'll give that to be false. It's also hint text, and for hint text, what I'll do is that I'll say search, and then I'll add these 3 dots. And finally, what I'll do is that I'll say that for our actual icon, which I'll add here as well, it's going to be icons.search. And the last and final thing is going to be the on editing complete function. And we'll say that for now we'll have this empty anonymous function. And the onEditingComplete function expects us to take in a value. So I'm going to say that it's going to be a underscore value, because the onEditingComplete function is a function that takes in a string. So we save that string in the value variable. I'll do Alt-Shift-F, Command Save, and doing so you should see that now a text field should be displayed. So now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to actually return back to my custom input fields class, and I'll take the steps to actually improve the styling of this field. So to do that, firstly, we'll define the controller for our field, and that'll be the controller that gets passed into the class. With this, I'll define the onEditingComplete function that's on this text field, and I'll say when onEditingComplete is done, I want you to call the onEditingComplete function that we pass in, and the onEditingComplete function, and then call it. That's represented by these brackets that we have by invoking it. But the onEditingComplete function expects us to give it a string input. And where do we get the value for this text field? Well, we can access the controller that we pass to it. So controller, which is obviously linked to this text field. And then from there, we can access the value, and then we can access the text. And that's pretty much all we had to do. So now with this done, what we can do is that we can move towards defining the cursor color. So the cursor color is the color of this cursor. Right now it's blue, and we'll change that to be colors.white. With this, I'll also move and I'll define the style, and the style is going to be text style. And then I'll say that it's going to be color, and then I'll say colors.white. With this, I'll do Command Save, and you're going to see that the cursor color is going to change now. With that done, the next thing that I'm going to do is that I'm going to define the obscure text property, and I'll set that to be obscure text. So that's whatever we pass in. Finally, we'll define the decoration, and I'm going to say that it's going to be of type input decoration. And then I'll say that inside of input decoration, we're going to have a fill color. So the fill color is the background color for our actual text field. And I'll say that it'll be color.from, and then I'll say red, green, blue, and opacity, and I'll say it'll be 30, 29, 37, and then 1.0. Doing this, I'll do Alt-Shift-F, Command Save, and I'm getting an error, and that is because I haven't added a parentheses, and do Alt-Shift-F, Command Save, and now we should have the background color. But the reason we're not getting the background color is because we have to set the filled property to true as well. So set fill to true, add a comma, do Command Save, and now we should see the background color. Now I'll define the border for actual text field. The border is going to be of type outline, input border, and then it's going to expect us to give it a border radius. Border radius is going to be border radius dot circular, and then it's going to take in 10.0 as its value, and then I'll add a comma and another comma and do Alt-Shift-F. Once the border radius is defined, the next thing I'll do is that I'll define the border side, and the border side is going to be border side dot and then none. And if I do Command Save now, you're going to see that the border should be removed, as you can see. With this done, the final thing I'm going to do, or the final few steps, is going to be setting the hint text property for our text field, and that'll be equal to hint text that we pass. I'll also set the hint style, so the text style of how the hint is displayed, and that's going to be of type text style. And then it's going to have a color, and the color will be colors, and then dot white 54. And finally, I'll also have a prefix icon, which is a property on our text field, and I'll set the prefix icon to be a icon, and then for the actual icon, I'll pass in the icon that gets passed in to this class, and then for the color, I'll say that it'll be colors dot white 54. And with this, what I'm going to do is that I'll make sure that I add any of the parentheses that were required, add the remaining commas, do Alt-Shift-F, Command Save, and that's pretty much all we had to do for our search fields UI. So with this, I'm going to end this video here, and I'll see you guys in the next video where we'll actually try to implement the list view inside of our users page. So thank you for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.